Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from 1AAuto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of 1AAuto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to show you how to service the front brakes on this 2005 Town and Country. Same as most 04 to 08s. And this is a vehicle that has the rear disc brakes. The front brakes are a little different from vehicle to vehicle. And tools you'll need are jack and jack stands, 19mm socket and ratchet or your tire iron, penetrating oil, a hammer, the bigger the better, T45 Torx bit or an 8mm Allen driver, flat blade screwdriver, 21mm socket with a breaker bar or a pipe for some a large C-clamp, and a torque wrench. If you don't have the benefits of air tools, you'll want to start with your vehicle on the ground, loosen the lug nuts, then raise and support your vehicle and take the lug nuts and the wheel and tire off. I do have a lift and impact wrench, so I will use them. If you do find it's tough to get your wheel off, what you can do is put a couple of the lug nuts back on and then basically just hit the top or bottom of it, and that usually breaks it free. The lug nuts just help to hold it in place when it breaks free.
Okay, so now we can check our condition of our brakes. Okay, you can see the rotors. If you take a back of your fingernail, this surface should be pretty smooth. On this vehicle, these are pretty deeply grooved, so this rotor at the very least needs to be turned. And by the look of the condition of it, we're going to replace it. And if you're replacing the rotor, you're going to replace your brake pads anyways. And we can look in here, and you can see that that brake pad, so here's the metal. Here's the metal of the pad, the metal of the rotor, and in between there is the pad, and you can see it's pretty thin. Okay, so this is in need of some new brakes in the front here.
Using the steering wheel or turning the wheel, just make it so you can get to the back of the caliper easily. To remove your brake caliper, here, there are two bolts, one there, and one down there.
And it's actually a
T45 or proper size Allen bit with a T45 Torx bit. This style I can use a 3/8 ratchet to turn it. Okay, I'll just fast forward here as I use that Torx bit and my ratchet and remove those two bolts.
Okay, so as the brakes wear, this is the caliper piston. That piston works its way out. So what you can do is take a big screwdriver and pry on the caliper. And just pry slowly, and you can probably see that the piston is kind of working its way back in.
Now there's a bracket that holds the caliper. You pry that off with a flat blade screwdriver. And now your caliper comes off, and you can just pull the inner brake shoe right out and then put your caliper, I kind of hang it up on the strut.
Okay, so before we start banging on the rotor, we put a couple wire ties
and if you're going to do any other work,
onto our
secure it with some wire ties, and then you can take your outer pad off just by pulling it right out.
Next, you'll want to remove this bracket. Okay, there are two 21mm bolts here and here. Okay, you'll need a 21mm socket. Okay, I suggest a breaker bar. And if you don't have a breaker bar, use your ratchet. Okay, and then hook a piece of pipe onto it. That gives you some extra leverage. And apply pressure nice and easy. And the bolt will start to go.
Speed up here as I loosen that one up, and then I do the same thing for the lower bolt. Then I remove the pipe and just use the ratchet and take them out the rest of the way, and then take that bracket right off.
Your vehicle may still have these little locks on it. Just pull those right off with a pair of pliers. Okay, I'm going to coat this with penetrating oil. Hopefully it'll let me get the disc off easier.
Okay, I'll just fast forward through this a little bit, but you see I put a couple of lug nuts onto the disc, and then the bigger the hammer the better, and ours is pretty rusted on there, so I just give it some strategic hits, and eventually it comes off.
New rotor for 1A Auto goes on. Take your bracket. The bracket goes between the steering knuckle back here and the rotor.
Okay, and poor shooting here, but I'm just putting that bracket in place, holding it in place, starting the bolts on, and then tightening up preliminarily. I also put a lug nut onto the stud just to hold things in place, make it a little easier to work.
You'll want to tighten these to 120 foot-pounds.
Just use a pair of wire cutters or something to clip your wire ties or whatever you have holding the caliper up top.
Okay, now you want to actually put your old pad back in and use a large C-clamp and force the piston back in. So as I tighten up the C-clamp, okay, try and hold it here. As I tighten up the C-clamp, you'll see the piston go back in the rest of the way. Okay, take the clamp off and take the old pad out. Okay, new pad comes with the clips to put it right in. This one just goes right into the piston. Okay, put the outer one into your caliper bracket. Put your caliper down on. Okay, once your disc is on there, kind of put one side of this bracket in and then push the other side in and push the bracket down, whoops, and on. And then come around to the back, push your bolts in.
And speed up here a little bit as I just tighten up those bolts with the Allen or Torx bit and ratchet.
Torque these to 30 foot-pounds.
Okay, now take that lug nut off, and then you'll lift the wheel in place. Start the two lug nuts that are opposite the valve stem, and then put your wheel cover on and start the rest of the lug nuts. Now with the van on the ground, you want to torque the lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds using a star pattern as you tighten them. After you've done both sides, pump the brakes a bunch of times, and then do test stops from 5 and 10 miles an hour before road testing the vehicle. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.1aauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.